Did you know teachers aren't humans? They're not allowed to show stress or age, have health problems, show fear, waste time, and most of all, fail. They're not even allowed to go to the bathroom. But that's okay, because we're here to talk about how we're all just playing a role. And at 3 o'clock, we get to be us again. 40 years ago, two 8-year-old boys were bored out of their minds in school, and they vowed one day they would do something about it. They did it to honor their friends. They did it to honor their classmates. They did it for the love of learning. I'm Matt, and this is Rob, and 40 years later, we get our turn, but now we're playing teacher. Rob's anything but normal.
Recording in progress.
Okay, welcome to Playing Teacher. I am Matty Cade. This is Mr. Robert Monahan along with Brooke. And it's great to see everybody. If you're on YouTube, if everyone's doing well. And let's begin. What's going on, guys?
I have something.
Let's begin.
Well, a couple of things. I want to hear some stories from Brugge's trip to DR, but before that, I have something.
Yeah.
I was running some errands today, and it was like, I don't know, it was like 10:30 or something, and I'm driving, and I'm like, let me just call Brugge to confirm that we're on for 11 o'clock. Let me just call her.
I like how you don't confirm with me because I would.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was thinking. I was like, okay, Brugge's like the Rock, right? Like, let me confirm with her. She's the most organized out of all of us, right? So I call her, and then she picks up, and she's like, "Oh my god, I forgot. Are we on? Are we on?" And she's like, she's in bed, right? She totally forgot about the podcast. She's like, "Are we on in 25 minutes?" I don't know how she did the math in her mind when she was in that state. But so then as I'm like, she's like running into the bathroom. She's like, I gotta take a shower. So I was like, you're supposed to be the
the
Rock
one
here,
I'm sorry, because I literally turned the shower on as he's on the phone. As he's on the phone with me, I'm like, I gotta get in the shower.
So, yeah.
Oh my god.
So in other words, it would have just been you and I here, Matt, if I hadn't.
And we just hear water running in the background. We could just leave it on while you go take. If you want to go take a shower now, bro, just leave it on. And then
just call out
talk from there.
I was like, oh shit.
Teacher shower last minute. That should be a topic. Taking a shower last minute before work. Yeah, that should be nuts.
I mean, her hiding place in the conversation about where to hide in the school, wasn't it in the shower of the?
It was in the gym teacher's.
She said,
office.
"I would hide in the gym teacher's office shower." So. Which makes me think like maybe she's like slept in there overnight, like taking a shower in there in the morning and snuck out. Kind of like The Terminal with Tom Hanks.
Well, if you had a shower at work and you really didn't want to, if you really didn't want anybody to notice you, like if you had to make a phone call, this is a bad place to go and hide out. If you put like some kind of thing down, you could probably sit in there and just sort of have a real private conversation or something if you really want to get away from them.
Did that shower have a little bench? Like, did it have a little bench that folded down,
for like seniors and stuff? Or,
you mean in O'Neill's shower? No, it was a stand-up shower.
Why is there a shower in there? I
don't know. There was a toilet, a sink, and a shower with like one of those half cement walls. It was like a great hiding spot.
It's like,
is that common though for gym teachers, for a gym to have one single shower?
I don't know.
Like it has to be for the teacher, right? So it's like,
I wonder if anybody ever used it.
It's like the designer of the school is like, oh, this gym teacher is going to be sweating all day. It's an air-conditioned
technically,
school.
If you're the last person there at work and you're the first person to open up, right?
Yeah.
You probably could live there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
who
Oh,
will know? So
yeah.
you have a shower at work. You could just like never leave the building, eat the school food cafeteria, and probably get
Yeah.
away with just living
Yeah.
there. You know,
I
if you
easily
find if you just get a bag of clothes and then find a way to wash it and hang it, and so you could probably live at just live at the school. You never have to
No,
leave,
you
right?
definitely could live at the school,
I
like
easily
100%.
I easily could have stayed there overnight many like so I was the last one to leave many like when I say last one to leave, I mean like the custodian is like walking around somewhere, but like once they finish doing the room though, they're not coming back to the science room. You know what I mean? So it's like
Right.
and then in the
I
morning,
fell asleep, dude. I fell
yeah.
asleep there once.
Yeah, oh yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
but Rob, don't you think like the safety agent would notice that you never left the building or
No,
no?
no, I used to leave after the safety agent
Oh,
all the time.
Oh,
So
oh
like
wow.
especially in the beginning, I would stay there. I would stay prepping for the next day until like 7 o'clock. Like the
oh my
safety
God.
agent was gone. Like the room had been cleaned. Like and
Is
when
that
I
when
would walk, I wouldn't encounter a single person leaving the building. You
is
know,
this when you first started as a teacher or later on?
this was like I would say in the first 3 years, like when I first came to
When you
239,
first
it
came
was
in.
the
Okay.
most common.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
realized that I think for the female teachers there was more of an alarm that would go off, like they didn't want them. But for some reason, like I don't even think anyone was aware of it, but I don't think
They didn't
anyone
give a
cared,
shit about
you
you.
know? Yeah,
I mean,
so it was like
you were the only dude at that time
I was
before
the
I
only
came in,
yeah,
right?
right.
Yeah. So
So I'd be there, you
can't
know,
even
and
say
then
the male
like
teachers, it's the male teacher.
right. And then,
Right.
but then in the morning, it's a totally different, people would come in, if I went down at like 7:30, no one would realize that I hadn't actually entered the school, like the safety agent would probably be like, oh, I didn't even see you come in. And then I'd be like, yeah, I just,
We're talking about this, but I have a feeling like Rob lived there for about 3 years. It's just he's now telling us.
uh, let me tell you something.
So technically, if you just live at the school, are you homeless or that's your home? I mean, like if somebody did that,
if
it's like I'm,
I,
I'm really committed. I decided to just move in.
If I had been single, 100% I would have
You would do
slept
it, right?
there. Yes, like many times. Because I would have been like, why am I gonna go like I'm gonna take the train all the way home just to go to sleep and wake up and come, like there was
Right.
Would you,
plenty of
if you
times
lived
for
there, would you go take a shower and sneak into the gym teacher's locker, like after and like
I
go
would
get the key and do the whole thing, go to the office, get the
mm,
key, then go in there and then take a shower. Like after you would have
it
to
de
That
hide it.
door was never locked, by the way.
yeah, it depends.
Yeah.
If
The
it
gym
was
teacher's door was never locked.
if it
Was
was
the
more than
office locked up?
yeah, depends. If it was more than one day, but I mean, it would increase the risk of being seen on like the cameras and stuff in the hallway, but
Well, if
Right.
they were
like
checking anything out, like let's say
yeah.
somebody does, if somebody sneaks in or something goes wrong, they look back at the cameras and then check it out. Or if there's a student, there's something happened, it was instant, they want to check it out. So if they go through it, like all of a sudden they see this guy in his bathrobe at night,
In his bathrobe
with his
with his
toothbrush,
coffee. With his coffee.
Like in
wearing a
college.
jacket.
Like one of those little cubby things where you carry all your toiletries,
A little,
slippers.
No, if it was me, like that would be like Herbie just walking by with me, like,
oh,
hey,
that's
who's the guy
funny.
with the chicken?
Did you guys ever like I used to play this game with the security agent. I'm not going to say the name, but where I wanted to see if I could get from my room down to her undetected on the cameras. So I
No.
like
No, we
so
never played that, Rob.
no.
Did you ever
We're
play
just
this
like,
game?
let's just screw with the security agent, see how weak they are and what they're doing for fun. No, we
No, I
didn't
was
play
like,
that game.
I just
I
wanted
think
to
that's the
see
full title.
are there enough blind spots where I can get from point A to point B without being seen on the cameras,
That's good information, though,
Yeah.
actually to have,
Did it work?
Like
Wait, did it work?
I think there were times where, because like, all right, imagine this. Imagine on the first floor down by the teacher's lounge, right? I don't know where that camera on the first floor, that camera is probably closer to the office, So like if you go really fast from that stairwell into that back entrance of the auditorium, like that one that's down there, right across,
Oh,
like you would be like a blur on the camera. So that was, and then I would sneak around like that secret hallway, on the side of the auditorium.
Let me
You know what
get
I mean?
this right, though. So in the middle of the day, security guard would stop what they were doing and
Well,
then
I mean, they're just
rewind the camera
let's
to
play a
see if they can
no,
game.
no, no,
see you.
no. This is in real time. They're looking
Oh,
at
so you didn't say we're playing a game and see if I could. You just snuck, and then. But how would you know if you were seen then?
because no, I would say
He's in on the game, or he's in on the
yeah,
game,
I'm
right?
saying
Yeah.
to her, you look at the cameras, you look at the
Yeah.
screens.
Okay. So yeah. Right. Right.
She has screens on her desk, and then I
Right.
say, I'm gonna go upstairs and I'm gonna try to get down here. You tell
Right.
me if you detect, if you know,
Oh, I see. I see. I
yeah,
see.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
okay. Like you see. Right.
It's
Gotcha.
in real
It didn't have to
time.
be. It
Yeah.
didn't have to be real. Yeah. Rewound back right there. Right.
No.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. No, I didn't do that.
Yeah, fun times.
That was fun.
My only sneaking around was trying to like go past offices and not be seen. I was pretty good at that.
Yeah, it's the same kind of thing.
Oh, like
Running.
avoiding.
Well, avoiding
Yeah.
or just go moving really fast with your head down, or
Yeah.
you can pretend you're on a call.
Maddie, I saw it. Can I talk about that I saw you a couple weeks ago? Can I talk about this?
Oh,
Yeah, but you're asking me on live if you
Yeah,
can
because if you, well, I
say
mean, you
that
could
you
always
saw
cut.
me when you just said that
Well,
you saw me.
I
Just
no.
mean,
kidding. No,
I
no,
know
no.
you guys have the ability to edit, so
No, don't have that kind of thinking. Don't think, oh, they're just gonna edit it. No, it's very annoying to
Try
edit
not
stuff out.
to. Hmm.
So,
Yes,
but
yes. You
I
could say
saw
that.
I saw Matt. Are you talking about the same situation where I had seen Matt before you had seen him?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, I'd like to
So
talk
I
about
just
that.
wanted to, can we talk about this?
Yes, we don't have to
Yeah.
speak in code. You guys saw me in a play.
Yeah.
Okay, so Maddie was in a play in New York City,
Which he
and
wrote, directed, and acted in.
it
Celestial
was
field.
yeah, the Celestial Field, and it was phenomenal.
It
Like
was, yeah.
beautiful, Matt, beautiful.
Thank you. Thanks.
Sobbing, like I had just tears coming down my face.
Yeah.
It was so
I
beautiful.
had tears as well. Like it was like it was really good.
You guys were
And
on different nights, I know.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean I
Yeah,
Well,
came
you
up
you were day, Brew. No, no, you were both nights. You were both
uh
nights. Yeah, yeah.
well, a better way to
yeah.
put it is
Different nights.
a better way to put it is that I came on opening night
Yeah.
and Broogie
Well,
didn't.
I went on closing night, guys.
Oh,
So
You did.
okay. Did you buy a VIP ticket?
no, I didn't know there was a V.
Oh, really? When you buy the tickets, it says, "Do you want a VIP seat or do you want a normal seat?"
A
You didn't.
normal
You
seat.
did the VIP route.
Yeah, bro, I did the
What?
VIP.
What did that get you? What did that get you?
There were certain seats that had a golden, like a golden
Yeah, it's
cover
true.
on them,
I guess
and
it's right in the
only
middle. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and only
And
people
then
with a VIP.
you get a special meet and greet with me after,
Yes.
and I come over. No,
I was gonna say I got that too.
Yeah.
I said hi.
But yeah, I sat in the VIP seating. I mean, support the play.
It was so good. Really, I hope that you continue to. I don't know. I know that was like a snippet of something bigger you wrote, right?
this was this was short that I took from full length play that I had, which was it's either a two act or a three. I think it's a three act play, and I took a piece of it because it was like my first playback in about almost 20 years. Yeah, I was trying to. I think the last thing I did as a play was at the Beacon Theater, and it was like 20 years ago. So I haven't done one in a while. And if I'm going to do like my own, I didn't want to jump in with a full length or anything like that. So I was just submitting shorts. So I took it from, I was writing shorts, but then I took like a 10-minute piece part of it, and I realized, um, it was like 15 minutes, and I realized if I just changed a few things, I kind of liked it as a short play, and then that was it. It's kind of just went from there.
So what happens now with this play? Like, do you enter it into any sort of like contest? Are you able to perform it again?
Well, the purpose for me was also just to get a good video copy of it, which I have now. So I wanted that for not for my reel, because I had my reel done, but I wanted it just for like the website, putting together, you know what I mean? Like, and just some of my work, just to, put a little bit of portfolio together, you could say. So as far as this particular one, I just submitted a different full length. I don't think I want to submit this as a full length. Or revisit it right now. There was, I moved on to something else that's a full length
Okay.
and I just did submit that to some off Broadway thing. This was off Broadway, and I submitted to like an off Broadway thing. So we'll see what
Okay.
happens. I'm constantly working on everything. So you know, uh, I'll let you know the next thing that's going up. But I
Well,
appreciate you guys coming down. Especially it was great seeing you guys there. Having my first piece, back doing something. And.
it's
Um,
incredible writing, Maddie. Really great
Thank
Yeah.
writing.
you.
Yep.
Thanks, guys. It meant a lot that you guys are there. And especially this one, because this was a very personal like story for
Yeah.
me, and I was diving into a lot of different emotions and things, and little pieces of snippet, little pieces of things that meant a lot to me, personally. Um, and um, this particular story. So, so being able to dive into those kind of feelings and emotions and having, people that I care about so much there meant a lot. Yeah.
Always. Always. And also like some other people that you were surprised you said that showed
I,
up. You
I
were like,
was,
oh,
I had everyone was there that like really everyone that like meant everything to me came. And that's what was so cool. And it wasn't like the amount of
mm,
people, but like who was there. Like, you guys were
right.
there. My wife and Dylan and my son never saw me. He saw me in like films, right? But he never saw me live in a show. You know what I mean? Like, and especially something that I wrote. And I just think as soon as I got the video, he wanted it like for his, he said, can you, forward it to him? So he had it, right? And he just had it there. And I don't know. As a father, it's kind of, as a writer and actor, it's kind of interesting just because he doesn't know this part of my life really. Like, he's seen it, but he doesn't really experience it. And it's a big part of me that I kind of put away for a long time. So just to give him that and then have him there and have him take it in and have him, like crying during the play. And then especially with where there was a father-son element in it and stuff. And
Right. Right.
meant a lot. And then it was like an old friend, one of my my childhood best friend came with his wife and kids. And which was interesting because he knew so much about me back then. I remember I
Mm.
introduced you to him, Brooke. I said like, all right, you had me the first half and you had me the second half.
Yes. Yes. I
Yeah.
met him and his family.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then I also some of the paras from work that I work with and the people that meant a lot to me at, um as teacher were there. Three paras showed up and I always got along with the paras really, really well. I don't know, like what was your like did you guys like I don't know. I always felt like
Yeah.
I was sort of a loner as a teacher, like definitely after Rob left, and besides you, Brooke. But I would talk more to paras than teachers, definitely. If there was a teacher meeting, I remember I would sit at the para table. I just felt so comfortable with them.
I didn't talk more with the paras, but obviously I respected the paras, but also I I did like hanging out with paras. Like they're just I don't know. Also, a lot of the paras, the newer paras were younger in our building, right, Maddie?
Yeah,
Yeah. So they were like just kids just graduating or figuring out like what they're going to do with their lives. So
and I
I don't
think I
know.
think maybe also maybe it was a guy thing because there was more, obviously there's more
Men, sure.
98% all females, and then I'm a guy, and then the only males really that would come in weren't as teachers, it would be as pairs. So then you
Yeah.
see an older guy there, like finally. It's
Yeah,
like,
like,
they
hello.
like they let's come here, let us talk to you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No, I had
What's
a
your
I had
life?
So,
I had a really good relationship with all the paras also.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think like there's different, I guess how do I say this? Like there's different some of them I just really clicked with, but then sometimes like a para will be assigned full time to a particular student who is
Yeah.
particularly difficult, if that's a good
Yeah.
way to put it, right?
Yeah, they
Like
have different responsibilities, different class.
behavior wise, right? And so I think like, and those powers become very close to those kids, but I think like another thing with like being the only male in school for a long time and then being one of the only ones is like when there's a discipline issue, like if a lot of times it falls on us, like as the, you know what I mean? Like I'd be called for discipline issues, like that it weren't happening in my class. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
so, you know what I mean? So like there was that kind of thing, especially certain years, like especially in some of the early years, I think before either of you even came to the school. And so, you know, I don't know, that creates when you're working directly with someone else to handle a behavior, a serious behavior problem, and you're supporting each other. I think there's like a bond that's formed. You know what I mean? Like over that, it's like a mutual support, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I got to similar. I because I'm the counselor. The para who was a para who was assigned to a student would bring down the student,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then they would stay, and
right.
then we would form a bond over that student, and then
I
it
think,
just went from there.
Matt, I'm sure you had this too. Like the paras would love to take part in the science lessons too.
Uh,
Because they're
yeah,
in the
well,
room, right? So it's like you have all this fun stuff out and like
they would really enjoy it or just
yeah,
get
yeah.
into it. You know, when I was doing it. But then if I unless I was turning on a light bulb and I would have to tell them not to get involved. You know, like there was that because
Don't
they're
solve it for the kids, you know.
don't solve it. But yeah, no, they especially I think years later when I was just you know really just when you hit that prime of just being so comfortable, like when you've been doing it so
Yeah,
long and you're just relaxed.
Going
If
off book.
yeah, and then you got the management down, you got everything down, like you're in the zone. So when you get that way, and then their day is sort of like, it's a grueling day. So if you feel relaxed, during the day, and you're like, okay, it's I don't want to say they're taking a break, but it's definitely a break for their mind almost. That it's like, all right, some of the stress level is going to go down a little bit, and that
Yeah.
helps them out a little bit. Maybe the kids
right.
are a little bit different in here. There's a different side of their personalities that come out and that they don't get to see all day. It's frustrating for them, because they're helping. A lot of times they're helping students, and their students might be acting out because they're not getting the work. There could be behavioral issues, whatever. And then if they switch rooms and they go and their kid's completely different or they're doing a different subject, they can react differently. And, so sometimes that might have something to do with it as well.
Yeah. And Paris to me were always like, and I always, this was the dynamic that they were like, for me, like a partner. Like I wasn't like, I'm the teacher, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm going to ask you to do favors, you know what I mean? It was like, we're partners, like we're equal
Right, you're a team.
partners. Yeah, we're a team. Like we're doing this, you know. But it occurred to me too that Paris often would be sitting down in the auditorium when we did our like extravaganzas basically with 200 kids, you know? So like that's funny too, you know, just like
I like reactions when they went like this, like, oh my God,
yeah.
like that. They shook their heads. If you can't see me, what are they doing?
Yeah.
But I was
Funny.
talking to Cindy actually about because she's a para and she's sort of at the end of her para career before she changes careers, right?
Yeah.
And we were just talking about like the journey. What did you have to go through to get hired? Because she was helping out family member who's wants to change careers and I guess get into education and become at least start out as a para. So she was helping her fill out the forms and everything you have to do, and it's a different process. For they have to be like nominated to get into a school to be a sub. So you have to
What
Really?
do
have
you
like
mean nominated? Like somebody like referring them?
a principal has to nominate you. That's what they call it, and they basically give
Yeah.
you the approval to get in. Now, as a teacher, if you start out as a sub, you don't have to get nominated to go to a school. You just have a file number and you get a sub license. That's it. You just start working. They test you out. They really, I guess because you work so closely with the kids, they check you out almost. And it's an interesting process to get in. I said, so how do you get in from there? And Cindy said, like, well, I would do what my mother would tell her to do. 'Cause my mother was a teacher for so many years. She would say, like, just try to just get like cozy with the secretaries. I go to different schools. So Cindy like hustled. She went in and said like, oh, I want to go talk to. That's when Dylan was almost going to school. She's like, oh, I'd like to drop my I'd like to just go talk to them about my son going here. And she would get into the office that way, and then she would talk to the secretaries. And the secretary saw that she was bilingual, and they hit it off. And they said, "Oh, I'm like to drop my resume off." And she like got her way in, and
Yeah.
then they would sort of watch her. And the secretary told her like, just keep coming in every day, just keep coming in every day, because she said, "Oh, how do you get here?" Permanently. Just keep coming in, and she took a liking to the secretary, and then eventually the secretary like told the teachers like asked the teacher like, what do you think of her? And they were like, oh, she's great. Let's move her in for this position. And then the principal eventually didn't have an interview, but would just sort of, talk to her, and then they would talk in Spanish because they were both bilingual. And then she got in. If you're now for a teacher, it's completely different, right?
So they were
Yeah.
basically like observing her for how
Yes.
long? How long was the observation? Like how many
Well,
days was that?
this went on for months because she was coming in as a sub. They were just coming in here to go. She would go to different schools as a sub, and you're basically doing the same thing. But one school, they were scouting her, definitely, and I think it really started with the secretary really just connecting to her. And I remember though, even like for as a teacher coming in, the secretary, I kind of did the same thing. The secretary really has a lot to do with sliding that resume in to the next level. Because when I
Right.
came in, I remember like when I was trying to become a teacher, I walked around also and would drop my resume off and just to them. And I remember where we worked. I went in there not knowing anybody, and I just said, "Can I
Hmm.
drop?" I asked the security guard, "Can I drop this off to the office?" I'm a teacher, and she said, "Yeah." And I went to the office, and I remember the secretary at the time, who was a few years away from retirement, just like looking at me and just taking me in. When someone's like checking you out, not that way, but like just checking, like taking you in and feeling you out, your personality. And you have about 8 seconds, and you're just saying something. Oh, I'm a teacher, blah blah blah. But I felt that she was seeing like, is he a fit? You know what I mean? Like, would he fit? And I think it's like a family. You're trying to see if that person would fit. And next
Right.
step would be to get a call, which I did. And I just interviewed at another school, but they called me and said, would you come over here and do a demo? And then that was the process for me, like coming over. But I just found it like it's an interesting process, between like what the paras go through, and what we have to go through. Now, I didn't sub in our school; they just hired me. They had me come in, and then you do a demo, which not everybody does, but I did, and you don't know the kids, right? So it's like you
Wait,
don't
was
know.
Rob there when
Yeah,
was he watching the demo?
no, no, but
Mm-mm.
I met him maybe about an hour before he came in. They had me come in early morning, and then they didn't have me
Hmm.
do the demo too early afternoon. So if you're wondering what I did, or first I sat for about an hour, hour and a half. It was strange, and then they're like,
Wait, I'm sorry. I have to stop you.
yeah,
Did you prep for a demo? Did you
yes,
prep for the demo?
yes, because they
Thank you.
said to me, it
Thank
would be
you.
K to 2
Thank you.
science. So prep
Thank you.
for, they said, yeah,
It's
they
okay.
said, hey,
Hi.
All right. Goodbye.
welcome to playing teacher. We just had Ava pop in.
Wait, can I say something, Matt?
Yeah,
Since Briggy already killed the flow. Um,
no,
so
I'm such a douche.
okay, a couple of things. One, this is the smoothest transition we've ever had into the topic. We're in the topic right now.
We're in the topic.
We didn't even say we're going into the topic. We just
I was
transitioned in.
actually thinking as we were talking about my play, like, how do I get into what we're going to talk about here?
Yeah,
Because you
yeah.
guys then asked me
So
about the play, and then how do
yeah,
I chime into this?
that's A.
And
But
and by the way, Rob, when we were talking about the play quickly, I wanted also, if, I really appreciated Carlene coming as well. So
oh, she loved it. Yeah.
it meant a lot. Just talking to her after about it. If I didn't tell you that, and
Yeah.
um, anyway, so that's another segue. But spinning it back, as we were
Wait.
talking about the play,
One
like
one more thing. That's not even the A was just I wanted to give us props for a smooth transition. B, here this has to do with you. I want to say I remember going in and seeing you sitting there. You looked like you had been sitting there for like half an hour already, and and I wasn't surprised that, because it's only people don't understand this. When you walk into the office, there's the mailboxes. There's
yeah.
like two little chairs. You know what I mean? It's not like there's a sitting room. It's like you're kind of like wedged into this little space.
Wait, you guys had chairs in that space at that time? There were chairs
That
there?
time we did, yeah, yeah. There were chairs in the
Oh,
office. I know
wow.
they did because I was sitting there for a long time, just
Yeah.
staring at the
I
secretaries, like
sat down next to him.
wondering, like,
We were
how
like in the
long am I going
subway.
to sit here? I was there about an hour, and then I see Rob sort of like come in at some point, and he was sort of like messing around with the secretary. He's a very comfortable guy. He was just very relaxed, and he's sort of like joking around with them, and then he came over to me, and then we're talking about like like wrestling and ping pong, and well, how he's the only guy here, and then like we you got to get this, and we hit it off right away, and I remember he said, I think we talked about probably just food up, in the lab and sandwiches and whatever. And I remember thinking that, like, I just want to go hang out with this guy. I don't even want to sit here anymore, but I want to go to the lab and, like, watch wrestling and play ping pong, and just relax, So we hit it off right away. I don't remember the exact conversation, but so it was, I realized I'd be working with him, and I realized I could work with him. And we would probably be friends even before I knew that we would, be so close. But after that, and Rob Lee using obviously has to go teach, I'm still there. Like, so they kept me there a long time. And then they even said to me, go out for lunch and then come back. You can leave. So, like, I'm like
Oh my God.
there
I would
sitting
literally
there.
have, if somebody told me to go eat lunch and come back, I would have diarrhea. I would be so nervous. Like, how are they even
I went to
asking
like
you
one of the
to?
diners around the corner,
Oh my God. I'd be so sick.
Not Greater Ridge, not the Ridgewood Eats. I didn't go to Ridgewood Eats. I went to the other diner that closed and then opened, I think, as a Thai restaurant. Or so I don't remember what it was called, but I went there and I'm sitting there eating, and I call Cindy. She's like, "How'd it go?" And I was like, I don't know. I'm having lunch. I didn't do anything yet. I've just been sitting here all day. I talked to one guy for like, from like, and he's not hiring me. So, like,
But
so after that, I go back and I'll let you know. So I go back and I'm sitting longer. And finally, they say, okay, we're going to bring you in very soon. I'm like, so I get that. Then they finally do. They bring me in, they take me to the room. And the teacher stays in the room, and it's the AP and it's the principal. And then they watch me do a mini lesson. But yeah, Brew, you asked me if I prepared. And yes, I did prepare because they told me what I was going to be doing. And it was going to be, they said, prepare a lesson for
Prepare
they said
ship.
they said K-2 science, or they said first grade science. I don't think they knew exactly. So it's probably
yeah,
K-2
yeah.
science class. So I remember exactly, I actually remember, like, from about 20 years, like, what it was. And I
Yeah, what
just
was
did
it?
this. I remember going over, I remember I lived in Queens, actually, a few blocks from the school. And I
Oh,
remember,
that's
like,
right. I forgot
yeah,
about that.
so I'm over there,
Yeah.
Oh,
right? I
yes.
remember there was something wrong with my computer, and I wasn't like, so I had to go over to my sister-in-law's apartment, a few blocks away, because she lived there too at the time. That's how we came over there, because she moved there first. We started hanging out in the neighborhood, and we said, oh, we kind of like it. Let's move here. So we did. And so I went over to her place. So I'm at her computer, or her roommate's computer, one or the other, using the computer because something was busted. And I
Hmm.
remember just researching, like, lessons, for K-2 science. And somehow I pop up on, I just said, I'm going to keep this like simple because I wasn't a science teacher, so I, only had a little bit experience, teaching on the job, even though they kept me hiring as a sub, but that was as a math teacher and science, but the science part, it was just from a textbook that they couldn't read. We didn't do experiments or anything. It was more as a math teacher. So I really had no experience, especially elementary science, nothing. So I looked up seasons and I just did, and I kept a real simple season lesson. But I remember the one thing I could do is like I can, I'm musical, so I didn't have my keyboard, but I remember I'm going to sing. So I did winter, spring, summer, fall. This is what I sang. There are seasons four in all, la 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 la, leaves fall down and flowers grow. And the kids were like,
very good.
Talking about season, talking about. Oh, thanks for. But I remember I'm singing this because I remember them telling me, like, I think the teacher in the room told me, like, they said something like, oh, they're like, oh, this is guy singing to them and stuff. And so they were like, no, I think the principal and the AP were like just taking it in because the kids were like, the eyes were opening, things like that. And they were watching this. I don't know if it helped that I was a guy doing it, if she meant it that way. But either way, like the music part of it, definitely they liked for elementary at that time. I guess it was the management too. I was pretty calm and the kids were very well behaved. So they helped me out a little bit. They didn't give me a class that was challenging, like it's like, for the, and I kept then the activity pretty simple. And then I didn't stay. They didn't have me bring them back or anything or continue. Like, as soon as the kids were doing stuff, they said, let's go. So
Maddie, how long was your lesson? How long
they
was
didn't
the
keep me
lesson?
there they didn't keep me there like a full 50 minutes.
15 minutes.
I felt I did my mini, and then when they were over there, they just said, "That's enough. Let's go." So they were figuring out.
Okay.
I think they really wanted to bring me in before I did it, but they had to make sure I wasn't like an idiot, and
Right.
they had to make sure I had the management down. And then I figured even if he doesn't know the curriculum or anything, they would learn. And they brought me to their room, their office, and then I remember the questions were like, what would you how would you build your curriculum and blah 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 blah. And I remember just bullshitting because I didn't know what I was supposed to say at this point because I didn't have the experience. So I would use the best textbooks, and I'd find out, and they're like, well, we use this system, like our teachers college this. I was like, oh yes, no. So I remember just sort of nodding and be like, I would definitely use that. Yeah, I would do that. And how would you work with it? Well, I would listen and study, and yes, all the best. I was basically just bullshitting my way in.
You're
and then
bullshitting.
I remember look at the principal looking at me and almost like she knew I was bullshitting, but it was just like it was sort of a nod, like I did not know what I was talking about, but I was a very good bullshitter, and
it's what makes what like I can't. It's like this happens all the time, but isn't it like almost preposterous that they wouldn't loop me into this process? Like to see your demo, to like be a part of the interview. Like they don't know what they're talking about. Like,
no,
you know what I mean? Like,
no. And they didn't, I don't think they saw that we had the conversation. But did you speak to them though, Rob, before that meeting?
I don't know.
Did you say you have to hire him?
Didn't you say at some point you have to hire him? I remember something like that because
at some point, yes. But I mean, like, I'm just saying
it might have been after they did because they hired me then, right on the spot, then at the table.
I hear what Rob's saying. Like, I get that. Like, you should have been sitting on that interview because they're interviewing for a science teacher that would be working with you, like literally in the same room as you.
Also out of everyone in the building, there is one person who is like has the most expertise in teaching science, and that's me. It's not the principal or the assistant principal. You know what I mean? It's like, so I wouldn't you want to take the best tool out of the toolbox to do the job that you're trying to do,
Yeah.
But
the interview,
and then, I don't know what would have happened if you started asking me those questions about science. I would have bombed, Rob. Because I would have asked.
No, like, I mean, all right, I'm going to admit this.
Imagine.
It's probably good that they didn't do it, but like because I would have like teed you up. You know what I mean? I would have been asking you questions that you could feel because we had already spoken. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
So
So I
yeah, I
remember
wouldn't be trying to trick you or
I was a
trap you,
blank slate and I didn't have the one thing they did do was, and I had, like they gave me like like 2 or 3 days before I started. I guess I got hired maybe on a Wednesday, and they gave me I wasn't starting until Monday, but they said you're hired. You come in, but you're not starting until next week, and they let me just watch you in the lab and build my curriculum. So, I got to watch you and take it in, and I got to watch your management, and that was a big part. And that the light bulb went on when I started to do that. But um, that was great because like it didn't occur to me to teach like that and bring things to life and the way you were with the children. And I was like, so I took everything in, and then you sort of have to find your own voice. And then the book I used, I found a book in your room that I think was called Scott Forsman. Like remember those?
Yeah, yeah,
They were
yeah.
like giant.
Yep.
They were like
Yeah.
giant. Those giant size teacher
Yeah. Yeah.
like textbooks, and that for some reason I was able to take elements of that, and then I noticed that they had the little songs in them. I was like, oh, this is perfect, and it started to show me how I can build, K to 2, and then I spoke to you like, what should I cover, what should I not cover? Then I would just pick your brain all the time. I would actually if you were on a prep in there and a kid asked me a question, I just pop in like, what's this mean? You know? Then I would come back and be like, I was thinking about it for a while, and then I would just answer
That's
because Rob
nice
just
though that you had that experience, like, that you had Rob, that you're able to pop in and just ask him. Because a lot of teachers don't
Well,
have that, right? A lot of new teachers don't,
yeah.
they don't have
Well,
that.
but I don't know, Broogie, if it was me and you talking about this, like talking about Matt actually, like recently, I was talking to someone about this, and it was basically what I was saying was like in terms of like a mentor-mentee relationship or like a coaching thing, like it was so easy with you because it's so easy to if you have someone who is like naturally great with kids, a natural performer, like just someone who has the it thing, like the it factor, it's so easy to like teach them the science part. Like it's so easy to say, okay, this is what we have to cover. That's the easy part. But
Right.
if you have someone who like really knows the science, you know what I mean? And they went to like college for education and they went through like teacher training prep or whatever to teach them the other thing that you naturally had is impossible. It's not impossible, but
yeah, I
you
know what you
can't,
mean.
it's kind of like I'd much rather have it the way we had it where you came in with all the tools you needed. You just needed a little bit of like this is what the
No, I needed a
standards
lot of
The
are.
science
Yeah.
content,
information,
Yeah.
right? The
but I also,
content
I
information.
mean, I also had the thing where I just wanted to, I was open to you teaching me, and that's a part of it.
Yeah.
Like, like I knew enough to know that I don't know hardly anything as far as the curriculum goes. And I'm, especially, if we have a way that we're going to teach it and cover certain things. And I was just like, all right, just, mold me, let's just, I'm just going to be completely open to everything.
Yeah, Rob,
And
you're
that
lucky because some people would just
I want
be
to
like,
do
don't
this
tell
and I'm
me.
going to do,
Yeah, like
right.
don't tell me I'm the expert. I know what I'm talking about. This guy
Oh,
doesn't know what he's saying, blah
yeah.
blah blah.
No, no, I mean, I had, no, I mean, that wouldn't have happened. Like, someone who would come in like that would fail because I had such a strong footing in the school. It would have been like, it
But
would
we
have been
brought
like an,
somebody in once. I was on the
Wait, did
hiring
they
committee.
did they hire anyone else? Did they interview anyone else for that position? Or was it like Matt was the interview and then it was like, oh, he's hired.
well, they didn't include me in the process, so I don't know. They might
So you
have.
don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
But was it you, Matt, though, that like there was like a staff when we had one of our staff meetings in the library, was it you that when they announced that you had been hired, I like stood up and started cheering and everyone like laughed?
I
Because
believe we did
I think they were
that
like,
happened.
we
And
hired
then
some new
also
teachers, and then when they knew,
and then years later, I got to do that when another guy came in with you. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
either it
Oh,
was it might have been Dr. Neil or it might have been somebody else.
Yeah.
But
remember
like
when Neil was hired and you made like a book and
Oh yeah,
no, we
yeah,
made a book to get him in.
yeah.
That was the most
It was called.
That was the most unique way I ever saw somebody get hired. Rob made a book about
Oh,
why you should hire Dr. Neil.
wait.
Yeah.
So this leads into, okay, Broogie, I don't know if you want to go first or you want me to go first, but there's a story about this. There's a reason why I made this book and everything. So there's a little
Yeah.
background to this.
Yeah, go
So,
ahead.
all right. So if, like, from my hiring story basically was, well, two things. One, I never took an education course in college. So I'm like 21, 22. I'm working in a hospital, Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. I'm on the subway, and my best friend had passed away months prior from esophageal cancer, right? And I'm really distraught over this. Um, and so I'm on the subway and I see this sign that says teacher shortage. New York City teaching fellows were looking for teachers, no experience necessary. Like basically, they're looking for people to change careers to become teachers, right? So I call the number, and the deadline for the application is like 4 days away. I apply like literally 6 days later. I have to give my notice at the hospital because I'm accepted into the fellows program. Like I had to go in and interview and do a demo lesson and all this like stuff. So I get brought into the fellows program. The fellows program is basically a crash course that happens over the summer, and then they're going to just assign us to schools like in the fall. And so there was now just talking about like hiring and in the DOE, there's a really big thing about who you know. If you know someone, like you have an in, like Matt, you were talking about getting nominated or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Paris.
there was this fair that you had to go to, and you had to basically give your resume out to different district representatives
Mhm.
as a fellow. And so if the district representative liked you, they would basically endorse you, and then you would be assigned to that district. So my dad is like District 24. He's like the GRYC, so basically he goes, okay, when you get there, go and see this guy. It was the principal at IS 93, right? And so first thing I pulled a broogie that morning. I overslept. I'm in Queens. And then I'm like, I'm trying to shave and I'm cutting my neck and I've got all like,
Oh man.
and then I'm taking a cab. I had to go all the way up.
Wait, shave. You've had like,
No,
did
no,
you have
my
this
neck,
beard?
my
Oh,
neck.
okay.
And then I get in
We
and then
have to shave our neck or we have
yeah.
random hairs that come out, Brooke, that we look
Oh,
nuts.
okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah, like
understand.
this.
Go
And
ahead.
so then I'm taking a cab in. I got to go all the way up by Lincoln Center. I basically make it with like 20 minutes left. I'm running around. I'm like, "Where's District 24?" I find the guy. I go, "Oh, hi. He knows who I am." I
You
give him my thing.
sweaty.
Yeah. I give him my thing, and
Sweaty.
then that was it. So he endorses me so that I get assigned to District 24, right? Which is like amazing because that's where I live, right? So
Right.
so then I'm in a cohort with like 25 other people, including this is how I met Neil. So Dr.
Okay.
Neil is in there as well. Neil and I hit it off. So we're in this
Right.
cohort and we would go, the Atlas like shopping mall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Before it was Atlas, it was like a district office. So we would go to this district office and sit in a room and basically get like training from different people on how to be a teacher, right? For like, every day from like, I don't know, 8 to 3 or something.
I
And
have
then,
questions.
yeah, yep.
Okay, so first of all, were you and Neil the only men in
No,
this cohort?
not the
Okay.
only, it was 25% like maybe men or something, or maybe
Okay.
less. But Neil and I
And was
really
this
hit it off.
District 24? It was all for elementary, or they put middle school and high school
Yeah,
in as well?
this was no, this was actually mixed, but it was
Okay.
like let's say it was mainly middle and elementary, right?
Okay.
All
And
right, so now
so,
I have another question.
yeah.
When you were sitting around this table, were you and Neil like, "Oh my God, these people don't know what they're talking about"? Because
No, no, none of us. No, none of
or
us knew what
oh,
we were
okay.
talking about.
Okay.
We're learning all this stuff for the first time. And so, but what Neil and I would do is like we would have to go around to different schools and like watch, sit there and watch teachers teaching summer school. Neil and I, like every time there was a break or like a lunch, we would go to my house, my parents' house, and we would go in the pool. And we would like be, and then everyone else is sweating their asses off, like trying to find places to eat. We'd be sitting there watching TV in my parents' house in the air conditioning, and we didn't invite
That's
anyone.
great.
So anyway, so then on the last week of this cohort thing, you find out where you're gonna be assigned, right? And this principal, this really like a tiny woman, Dr. M, I'm going to call her, right? We loved her. She comes in and we find out, Neil and I find out that we're assigned to the same school. And you know what? I was wrong before. There was only four guys, I think, three or four guys. Neil and I were two of them. I only remember one other guy actually. And so she calls us over and she goes, you know, the first thing she says to us, it's me and Neil standing here and she's in front of us. She goes, I love men. This is the person who just hired us. I mean, she means it as I love male teachers, you know.
I know that's what she meant, but it's just
but Matt, but you know who this is because this is where you subbed. It was on the same block where you
I know who this is because
I interviewed with this person. Well, this person actually was going to bring me in, actually.
Yeah.
She said, when I reshuffle, I'll bring you in.
Yeah.
So I would have been there as well, okay, I got you.
She was
and I know who
she didn't tell me I love men, though. I didn't get
I know who she is because she was my administrative, like when I was going through my internship, she was my mentor.
Yeah,
she was amazing.
She was Neil's
it's interesting that you got that experience, Rob, but then I had an AP. I was told that a certain AP hated men.
Oh yeah, but so
that's what I experienced, for a while, so I had the opposite. And that means actually is working with men, so anyway, but go ahead. I think the other way is better.
So we get hired into that school. I'm in that school for 2 years with Neil. We're both teaching we're both fourth grade teachers. My first week of school was the week of 9/11, right? So that was Neil actually came to my room and said, he called me over to the door. I'm in the middle of a class and he's like, a plane just hit the World Trade Center. And I was like,
what? Found out?
And we could see it from the fourth floor of the building, right? From the
God.
So anyway, so that's that. But then after the 2 years, a new school had been built over on the street. Well, our school that we all taught at, it was brand new. And before it was a school, it was like a rock bottom. It was like a big store, right?
Yeah.
So they built a school was built, and they're like, okay, here's what's going to happen. At the school that Neil and I were at, they were like, because no one ever left that school. The principal was great. The APs were great. People would get accessed because if the number of kids changes, then they don't sometimes 2 or 3 teachers would get accessed, and then you're going to wind up going somewhere that you don't really have control over. So they said there's teachers who are going to be accessed next year, but there's a new school that just opened like 10 blocks away. If you go and interview for this new school, you get accepted. It was like something weird. You'll transfer over there with the number of years that you have in already. So you won't lose your spot in 10 years or something like that, right? So, and I found out that there was a science position open. So Neil and I both go over and we both interview, and I wind up getting hired as a science teacher. But in that interview, the principal, who we all know, they were asking me the same questions, Matt. They were like, we're going to ask you a question and don't, just answer honestly. What do you know about balanced literacy? Right. And I'm like, and I bullshitted. I was like, I never even heard that term before, but I was like, I'm like, all right, I know what these words mean. So I was like, well, a blend of listening, reading, and writing, and blah, blah, blah.
Go back and forth, even, because that's what balance is.
It's a balanced scale.
And you balance books in your hand and then make sure that they understand.
And then I was asked, how do you feel about teaching kindergarten science? Which I found out later is because our principal had been a kindergarten science teacher for a few years or something, So anyway, I get the job, but then Neil didn't get the job. But I found out later it's because he didn't update his resume. Right. So they were like, he didn't update his resume. We're not hiring him. Right. So now Neil stays at the school, I Love Men. Right. And then, but he actually gets accessed 6 or 7 years later, even though he has 10 years in. And he winds up in another school. And then when position opened
keep talking to Broogie. I'm stepping. I got to get my charger. Keep talking. Continuing.
Yep. Yeah. And so then Neil applies. And that's when I knew that I was wondering in my mind if they would remember him from that previous interview. And so I made up the book of 50 reasons to hire Neil Leva. That kind of thing. But
do you remember any of the things that you
yeah,
wrote in that book? Like one
well,
of the
I think some of the things, some of the ones that were probably the most impactful, I was like, because I knew what qualities our administration would look for. And so I said loyalty, I said like commitment, loyalty. I basically said that, Dr. Neal was in a program to get his like master's in theology, right? And I don't know if Matt knows this actually. So, Matt, I'm just telling Broogie one of the 50 reasons from the book I made about to hire Neil. And I told a story about how Neil was in like a master's program or a doctorate program to get a degree in theology. Like he was going to be like a youth minister, right?
right.
And so I said, and that's when I was diagnosed with cholangiocarcinoma, with the bile duct cancer, right?
Okay.
So at that when I was diagnosed, I had already started working on the chocolate book, Professor Chocolate. Like I had already created this thing. And so, you know, I
Ultimate
really,
guide to finding chocolate in New York.
yes. And so I said to Neil, I was in the car with Neil once and I said, like, I'm just like I hate this really sucks. Like I don't want to leave this unfinished. Like I don't want to die and this be unfinished. I put so much time into this thing. Matt, you know how that is. Like you're working on a project, you know what I mean? Like for years. And so then Neil is
Yeah,
like,
but man, I never really thought about that. That's what you're thinking about when you were doing the book.
Yeah, I
That
didn't realize that either.
well, it wasn't the, I
Yeah,
mean, that was one thing. I mean, I was like, so I'm thinking,
that's a major thing though to be able.
yeah.
That's the
well, yeah,
thing.
I'm going to be going into surgery. I don't know if I'm going to come out of surgery. And so what are
Yeah.
the things that I want to make sure that I've completed or whatever? You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
No, but I definitely understand.
yeah.
Could imagine, being in that position, and then if you start something like that, that
Yeah.
means
And I
so
didn't,
much to you. Yeah.
yeah, I didn't have kids yet. So anyway,
Yeah.
so then Neil like has one class left. He drops out of school and he comes full time with me working on Professor. That's why Professor Chocolate, even though it doesn't really make sense, is two people. It was originally one person, but Professor Chocolate became me and Neil. And so Neil
Gotcha.
came in every single day after school. We would like he was at one school, I was at the other. We would go into the city, we'd go around the chocolate shops, and it like basically together we wrote this book. We finished the book. And like we didn't actually publish it till 2010, which was after the surgery, but that was the story there of like getting all
I
that done.
had I had no idea. That
I
that's
mean,
pretty incredible. Like
that's
you're
the story of it. You know what I
I
mean? If
mean,
anything,
yeah.
that's you
But
know,
that was
that
one,
could be in the book as,
yeah.
of why this book meant so much to you. Like you could
But
put that in.
that was
But
one
the
of 50 reasons in this book that I made to hire Neil. Like so you can
right,
imagine like it was,
Yeah.
there were some funny things in there, but there were some serious
right.
things in there too.
What an amazing friend.
But
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
that's
guys have a
great.
really great, very,
How
very
many
deep friendship.
how many years were you at that school with Dr. M
two,
together?
just
So
two,
you guys only so and how many years was the fellow prior to that school?
like 3 months.
So you knew him for 2 years, 3 months to develop this loyal friendship.
Well, no, but like what I'm talking about where he dropped out of theology school, that
Yeah,
was that
yeah.
was a few years later because like
Okay.
my diagnosis was in 2008.
Yeah,
So
but
like
you guys,
we started teaching in 2001.
right. Okay.
So 7 years of
You're
friendship.
already also working with me at that point, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So
right.
yeah, because I remember coming to your apartment, yeah, when you
That's an
were.
incredible story.
And then we worked on the hot chocolate book
Oh
through
yeah.
through me having thyroid cancer when I had my
Yeah.
thyroid taken out. So, but I think he was already at 230. Well, I think he was already at the school at that time.
He was.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, I
That was in like
remember.
2012-ish or something. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
So
cool hiring story for Neil at our building that you gave a like basically a a pamphlet. Was it a pamphlet? Like, was it color?
It
Like, was it
was
a colored
no,
book?
it was like a deck of 5x7 index cards, I think, or something.
Did you draw pictures on them? I can
Yeah,
imagine
yeah.
you
No, it
drawing like
was yeah.
little
I had
illustrations.
yeah, I spent like the entire night before his interview, and then the morning of, I went in and gave it to the principal, and I said, of course, I know this person. I'm giving my endorsement, and you're gonna make the decision. Whatever you decide is great, but I want you to just take a look at this. You know what I mean? So,
That's great. That's amazing.
but
It's
Great
interesting that you
story.
could be like I couldn't talk about getting hired without bringing you up. And then, your journey also then connected to Neil that way, and you can't really go into your full story without, connecting to Neil. Now,
yeah,
Brug, you just had an interesting experience as well because you're about to change your life and you just got hired to be a school counselor at
Yeah.
a completely different school. So what was your
Yes.
experience like?
So before I get into that, the school that we all worked at, the way I got into that building was really through who I knew. I was working for Project Liberty, which was an outreach for anyone, a counseling program for anyone affected by September 11th attacks. So I was doing like counseling for that. And I was looking for a counseling job in a school for years, for years. I think it was like 5 or 6 years. And my friend was like, hey, give me your resume at my wedding. I know a girl there who works at my school. The counselor left. We're going to give the resume to this person. So I was like, great. So at her wedding, she's sitting eating with her new husband. And I walk up to her with my resume. I'm like, who am I giving this to? So she gave it to this girl that we all know, who was picking up the principal from the airport a few days later. And
oh,
when she picked up the principal from the airport, she handed over my resume and said, hey, this girl's looking for a job
did
as a
did I
counselor.
did I go to elementary school with this girl?
Yes,
Okay.
I think so. Yes, 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 yes. And so, like, literally a day later, I got a call and they were like, can you come in for an interview? And it was her and the three APs at the time. And they were asking me these questions that I didn't know the answers to.
What's
And one
balanced
of the
literacy?
and one of the
What do you know about
APs
teachers college?
one of the APs, meanwhile, like I worked in schools before, but never, never as a school counselor. So
Here's
one
another
of
thing.
the
Like, how would they know what to ask you then? Really, it's kind of like
This is my
like
point about the thing
yeah, no,
before.
yeah, I
exactly. So how
mean,
did
the old counselor wasn't on the interview,
right?
so
Why not?
I know she should have been.
Right, just like Rob should have
And
been
then
there. Like when I was, getting hired.
But I think it
Yeah.
was like more of a formality because the one of the APs were like, "That's okay, you'll figure it out," and I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, okay, I guess
Mm-hmm.
I'll figure
Yeah.
it out." And then,
It tells you a
like
little bit
that,
about how they think about, the science behind counseling. But
okay, you'll figure it out. So
yeah,
then I was like,
just
okay.
throw
So
them in there. Talk to them. I don't know how talk about feelings.
and then
That.
like, well, very nice. And then like the next day, I got a call that I was hired. And they were like, all right, you need to have your fingerprints done, blah, blah, blah. And I
Oh,
was
that's
like,
right. Oh my
what?
God.
So I had to go down to Court Street. I couldn't start for 2 weeks, but they were
Oh,
okay with
Court
that.
Street's a nightmare. Yeah.
They were like, all right. I was like, I have to give 2 weeks notice to my other job. So I did. And that was it. Like I started, and I remember I started actually I think maybe the day after my 30th birthday. And I remember
Wow.
sitting in the office and just like looking around, like, what the hell am I supposed to do?
September 20th.
Uh, well, no, my birthday, my birthday, September 17th. So yeah,
Oh, damn it.
probably.
I knew you were either before one day before or after my friend Peter's birthday. So, okay.
And then,
I didn't even attempt. I definitely knew it. No, I
and
knew it was
then
right over there.
I had no, like, I was sitting in the room, like, oh, okay, I guess I'm a counselor now. I had no idea. And then, obviously, and then I get a call and it's like, all right, you got to report to this room because there's a crisis. I'm like, all right, I guess this is my job now. So, and then that was it. And then the rest is history. But it was interesting. Like, it was all who I knew.
Yeah.
Like, one of my very good friends that I have been friends with since the 7th grade, his wife was the one that was like, hey, bring your resume to the wedding.
Well, then,
And then
That's cool that you knew people there, because I didn't. So I can imagine knowing people already, definitely helps, like, your first week, and just having
I knew
familiar faces
one,
and things like that.
I knew one person and
Yeah.
she was across the hall from me.
But
My office was like,
but now after like over a decade being at that school, right?
right.
Like I don't know how many years it was,
Well
15
over a
years or
decade.
something. Like
Over,
No,
yeah.
like
17.
this ties
Yeah.
into the new position you're going to have and like how many people you know at
18.
that. Like, so tell that story.
Yeah.
So that
It's like a
school,
time machine forward,
so I know about
think
10,
back.
10 people that work at that school. So that school
Because they had previously worked at the school where we all worked.
yes. So
Yeah.
that school had about 5 or 6 people that worked at our school and they all left at the same time and they were all hired at this new school.
Yeah.
And
they stayed there.
And they stayed there. They absolutely loved the school. They loved the administration in that school. Like the administrators went from like Paris to teachers to administration. Like, it's just like people stayed there.
Yep.
So I had reached out to someone that worked at the school and I was like, hey, I'm sending you my resume. If there's a position, great. If not, if you know of anybody, like I really was just looking to leave my current job. And
which we had talked about.
Yeah.
The three of us,
yeah. And I didn't hear anything back. Like I had emailed, but that's okay. Like I hadn't spoken to her in a while. Like it's all good. Like, who cares? So I had then like weeks later, I get a text and it was like, hey, just so you know, there's a position. If the budget goes through, like I'm passing this on to my principal and she may give you a call. Great. And then I got a call and then I got called in for the interview. And what was great about this interview was that there was a counselor on the panel. So it was 3 APs, the principal, and a social worker, and me. And having the social worker there was fantastic because she's able to talk about the experience of like what she's actually looking for in, like, she's the one who's basically going to be working with me and hiring me. You know what I mean? Like the principal makes the final decision, but if she didn't like me, then I don't know. So anyway, all the questions. So it's so interesting because from my 2007 interview and then now my 2025 interview was so different because I knew nothing in 2007. And now in 2025, I could answer every question like thoroughly. Like I knew exactly what I was talking about. I even like created charts before I went in and like handed shit out. Like I was prepped.
Well, and just so people know, like when we're talking about this world of like the what would you call it? Like is it me and Matt always probably get, is it guidance counselor? What is it?
School counselor.
So the official is school counselor, but people still call us guidance counselors.
So in the world of
school counselors,
school counseling, like for the audience, Brugge has won like awards, like best freaking counselor in the nation or whatever, like, where she's presented with awards on a stage and whatever.
New York City.
Well, I mean, that's a million fucking kids in New York City and 100.
And the educator of the year where we used to work.
Yeah, but that was just.
Oh, I mean, that's a pretty. I mean, do you guys know?
That's an important one.
Do you guys know who the first educator of the year was at the school where we worked?
Mr. Robert Monahan, come on down. You are the educator of the year.
Yeah.
And I never got it. What's up with that? I would sit by the piano during graduation playing, and they would always like say it, and I would sort of like look up. I was like, man, I got to get out of my little corner if I got it. There was
Yeah.
one year I
That
thought
was
I did,
so
and they started
political.
to
Oh
Like,
say
yeah. Yeah.
something that it
Yeah.
almost sounded like me, and then I did. I was like, I was like, "Oop, that's not me."
yeah, that was very political, that thing. But the other one, the New York City, like
Yeah.
that was legit. Like I
Yeah,
was
That's
no,
a big deal.
in
that
Court
is.
Street. Yeah,
Yeah.
not Court
Yeah.
Street. Yeah, it was downtown Manhattan.
Wasn't it
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
mayor? Like the mayor like
Yeah,
came.
it was
Yeah.
like the chancellor. It
Yeah.
was yeah,
Matt,
yeah.
can I, without naming anything, can I just tell kind of like a variation of the story with you not getting hired recently at that school and how and what a disastrous decision that was for them?
Yeah, 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 sure. So yeah,
Okay, so
when I was, well, I mean, yeah, go ahead,
you can
Rob.
tell it's
When
I can
you,
tell it from the back side, you can tell it from the front side if you want,
yeah,
but
yeah, sure.
let me give the dynamic. So I'm working with a school as a consultant, you know what I mean? So I'm a vendor for New York City DOE. I'm living down here, but I would fly up to New York and I'm helping them do things in their school, right? And so
This is a
then
while. It's about a year ago. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, yeah. And this is
Yeah,
when you're still
yeah, I'm
at
still there.
right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so you're making a decision about, okay, what am I going to do? You know what I mean? Like so anyway, so then
Making some changes in my
yeah,
life and stuff.
just
Yeah, go
thinking
ahead.
what direction do I want to go in. So
Yep.
I'm talking to I become aware that the principal there is looking for a K to 2 science teacher, right? And I
Yep.
go, well, I know the guy. I said, I know that if you want a recommendation, I go, I know the best person that you can ever find, right? So he's like, oh, like give me the name, whatever. So I make the connection, and then now you can pick it up from there because you know how the interaction happened between you and them and what the process. Because I wasn't there for anything that you did with them, or you
Well, I
know,
talked to the guy for a long, I mean, we had a great phone conversation. First we
yeah,
texted, and then, we talked for a while on the phone. It was just different. Just got to know each other a little bit. And I just felt so comfortable, like just giving him like my philosophy. I was like, we got to bring you in for a demo. And I mean, just thought of old science lessons and thought of
yep,
something that what I thought would be pretty good and came up with a whole thing, got my materials together, how I wanted to do this. Also knowing I'd be going in during the summer,
mm-hmm.
where the kids are
Oh,
probably management
it's
wise.
summer rising. It's different.
Summarizing.
It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's not
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah. So I came in and I realized, but before going in, I realized, I better have everything locked down, organized as much as possible. Um, And I did. I did a demo, and I had an interview after. They asked me a lot more questions than I ever had at any other interviews. And then it was between me and somebody else, right, Rob?
Yeah, so
Yeah, yeah,
I can pick up from here.
yeah.
So
Because this is about all I know,
yeah,
And then
yeah.
it just came down to me and one other person. And go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, I know like the who's, what's, where is what. So
Yeah.
basically, okay, so they love Matt, they love Matt's lesson and everything. There is one other person though who's like in the running, right? And so now I'll say this too. I love this principal. I love the science teacher there is like my science soul sister. Like I love her, you know?
Yeah.
And they did loop her into the interview process, so you met her, right?
Yeah.
But what happened
She
is
didn't say anything during. She didn't say anything during my interview. That was interesting. I don't remember
no.
anything
No, I
that she
mean,
said.
yeah,
Yeah,
I had
she was there but quiet during it. Yeah.
yeah, that's how she, you know. But
Yeah.
basically, the other person, so the other person that came in, like to them, looked like really good on paper. Like she had all of these like things about how great, like how much science stuff she knew. Like, oh, she does coding and she does this, like so the technical, you know. And she
Yeah, and
appeared,
and in science stuff I didn't because I only had was 3.5 years working with you. Then I was
yeah,
basically a theater or music teacher or
yeah,
whatever subject they let me invent a year. I mean, like, so I was really more of an art teacher, and on the art side than a science teacher, if you look at the
yeah.
vast majority of my career. So I didn't have the long
But
thing,
yeah,
yeah.
the principal's instinct, though, I know this, was to look for someone who has the it factor with the kids, which was you.
Well, that's what he was telling me. And then
Yes.
that was more, even in the interview, I mean, even the first phone call, he said, because I didn't hide my background.
No,
I
no,
said
yeah,
this
yeah.
when I did science, I just said, this is what I've done. This is my philosophy of education. And I talked about, what I believe, just inspiring children and just how I would teach science and how I have teach, so, and how I am with just, but I'm open to, mold me how you like this is what I
Yeah.
think, but and he told me what his vision was. And it's almost like we had the same vision. So that we had that, like there
Yep.
was a connection about how we look at education. Go ahead, Rob.
Well, so they wind up going with this other person who they
Yep.
believed like had this super strong background, and then like literally within the first week, because then I would still be there. Within the first week, they realized like they had made a very, very big mistake. And
Yeah.
like it turned out like I mean, it turned out to be disastrous basically. Where it was like the person's like a lunatic, you know what I mean? Like and
Oh,
like
Jesus.
like teachers that we knew at the school where we worked at having like breakdowns and kind of like not really, just like, just not.
So they let like a cancer in almost, and then you have to deal with it. I was on the hiring committee when we brought somebody into the school, and then that person only lasted a year, and then they
Yeah.
got rid of that person. But I remember I realized also, and everybody realized right away, like, oh man, what did we let in here? Like
But
this
Matt,
teacher was like walking around like with a notebook, trying to get everybody in trouble, and just
yeah.
like I was like, oh my
Hmm.
God, we let somebody in who's like a nut,
I
and so they let some, and I remember like I got fooled because I looked at the portfolio of the person.
yeah,
I thought
yeah,
like, oh,
right.
this person's like fantastic. I said,
Yeah.
I just thought the person was quirky
Yep.
and,
That's
but
what
in a
they
good
said, the
way.
same
And then
exact
I didn't
thing they said
realize it
about
was
this
quirky
person.
in a bad way.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah.
because what the gist of it is like, does this person work within our family and how are you going to be able to, I was like, no, this person did not work. So
Yeah.
that's kind of probably what happened over there.
But I
Yeah.
remember I
Personality traits are very important to, when
uh,
the job's hard enough.
yeah, honestly though, when I found out that they were hiring this other person, I was so happy because I remember the conversation that we had after
Yeah.
where I was selfishly happy because I was like, this is like gonna allow me and Matt to,
I had a whole other direction I wanted to go in, but
yeah,
I was kind of like deciding, I was putting a bunch of pieces together. I needed a little bit of time to figure the next step out,
yeah.
and we were gonna, embark on several things together as well,
That's how the
in
podcast came to be.
education. Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
can you just finish that? I'm sorry. Why were you happy?
Because that's like it was after that decision was made that like that's how this podcast came to be. Like Matt and I were
Oh,
like, now we have time to work on something together. Let's basically, and then we started thinking about, remember like the name, like we were coming up with names for the
I
podcast and
looked
stuff.
over some of the work at the beginning of when we were
Yeah.
putting this together, and there was like, I mean, there was like 100 different names. I remember I came across the information. It was like words back and forth. We were saying
Yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah. In the text.
it's interesting. It just started with that.
You remember the
But
one that we decided on, but then we changed it to playing teacher, which was your idea?
yeah, yeah. And I
What
think
will
you
they
said
remember?
the one. What would they remember? Yeah. Almost, well, it
what
almost
will they
became.
remember? I love
What would
that.
they remember? That's pretty deep. It's
Yeah,
pretty deep.
yeah. But
Yeah.
playing teacher, once I think you said playing teacher first, and I think once you said it, we were both like, that's it. That's the
There's
one.
also play on words.
Yeah,
Well,
like
play on
the
word.
game based and the
The
play,
game
and
based and the imaginative
acting.
based, and then it made complete sense. And also we were outside the box teachers, so there's a bunch. It just whole thing just fit
Yeah.
to the playing teacher. Yeah,
And then Broogie was our first guest.
that's right.
And then she
And then she
became a
became a co-host
And then
yeah,
because
and
I just
she
never
just never
left. I was
left.
like,
I
Yeah, no,
boys,
she
I'm
won't let us in.
staying.
I had to
Like,
Photoshop her face into this picture up here, and then
yeah, that's why she's in the back of the car there. She didn't give
I
you
had
any
to make her
pictures when she
a
was
little
supposed to.
packaged doll on the website, like one of
Yeah,
those bubble
she got a
pack.
doll too.
So cute. With a lightsaber. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Yes.
As
Yes.
I'm like sitting over here, I'm staring in the corner. I have a giant X-Wing fighter just sitting
I
in the corner of my room.
is it a Lego?
No, I'll show you. Do you
Oh,
want me to show
okay.
you?
Yeah. Yeah. Because I have a Lego X-wing fighter downstairs.
Wait, I can't. Oh, because we're in
Yeah.
like,
Hold it close to
you
your
see
body.
it?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Look at that thing. Look at that thing. Wow, look at those things on the side.
Somebody
Oh,
just tuned in to this podcast at that moment, and
Yeah.
Brugy's just
Look at that
standing
thing.
there. She's spinning around. Look at that thing on the side. Anyway,
Wait,
thanks for tuning in to Playing Teacher.
I have a question,
That's good.
Broogie.
That's good. Go ahead.
Broogie, what was the highlights of your DR trip? If you were to pick one or two things.
oh my
Yeah.
God.
Was it was it a food that you ate? Was it the zip lining? Was it I don't know, some cave that you went
Pictures are
exploring in?
beautiful. It looked amazing.
I think it was beautiful. It was gorgeous. I love the zip. I'm very afraid of heights.
Yeah.
And like flying, like I hate flying. I have like a lot of anxiety. But what I do is I like mind over matter. I push myself to do things that are on my bucket list so that I can get over like the fear. And I never really get over it, but I just like I push myself. So like climbing the tower to get to the zip line, that was amazing. And I have done zip lining before, but
Yeah, I remember.
yeah, but like I've done like hot air balloon rides, like just get to just push myself. But this was amazing. So
You in a
they
hot air
had,
balloon? That's so cool.
yeah,
I don't know why I think
Yeah.
of like the Muppets, you know,
I did
like
I did
this.
that I did that once. I got a funny
Oh,
hot
you
air
did it
balloon
also?
story. Yeah, I'll tell if you got
yeah,
I'll tell you the story after Broogie's done. Mine is quick, but it's really funny because it involves my dad and it's us in the hot balloon area. Okay.
Hot air balloon.
oh,
Yeah.
what did I do?
I think of
Oh,
V when they put the stuff out. Did you guys watch V
Yeah,
when
the
that's how
final
they
battle.
defeated? Yeah, the final battle when they went in the hot air and then they put the red powder out. You know,
Oh man, I forgot about
that's
that
how
show.
that's how they got rid of the visitors. They
Yeah.
put the powder out. So that's a spoiler if anybody wants to watch. But
Wait, so
yeah,
what was how many people in your hot air balloon, Briggy?
oh, so there was five. So it's four of my very good friends, and then there was like a couple of other people in the
Yeah.
hot air balloon. And I mean, it was dawn,
Yeah.
so it
Yep. They do it
was there. The
early.
sun wasn't even up, and
Yep.
it was in California. It was over the hills in Napa Valley, and it was absolutely stunning. Like
How did
probably one of the best experiences ever.
how did you land?
We didn't know. They never know where we're landing. So it was like there was like a bush, and we like fell into like they were fine, but we ended up like falling into like a tree or a
But
bush.
did you just go straight down though and land standing up?
Um, yeah,
Okay.
yes, I think so. The basket was up. Yes. Yes.
So so after my surgery on the liver, my dad goes to me, um, now so after my surgery on the liver, right? I go back for scans and I don't know if I told you guys this, but like so then when I go back for the first scan, like 3 months later, after they've removed the primary tumor, there's two other tumors that started growing in the liver.
Oh my God.
And they're in different, they can't take them out because they can't take out any more of my liver. They took out a fucking softball sized piece of my liver, right? So I start going crazy with the research, right? And I'm like researching, like naturopathic doctors. I find a naturopathic doctor out in Denver. My dad goes, and then my dad, no one knew about this. I didn't tell anyone, right? Maybe I told Carlene, but like no one. I didn't tell my parents. I didn't tell anyone. So then my dad wanted to take a trip together, right? And so he goes, you plan the trip, I'll pay for it. Whatever you want to do. So I book us to go out to Denver. And in my mind, I'm like, while we're out there, I'm going to see this naturopathic doctor. And I sat and talked to that guy for 4 hours, and that's how my dad found out that I might be having a recurrence in the liver. And so,
you didn't,
but
and your dad didn't know anything about it
until that moment,
until
yeah,
that
we're
moment.
sitting in the
Yeah.
office. So
Okay.
I booked us in a bed and breakfast called the Brooklyn Lodge, which was
Yeah.
amazing, just us. But I booked us for rock climbing, which he claims I was trying to kill him because like the helmet didn't fit on his head, and
I
you
like
got
that
it.
picture of you guys
Yeah,
together. Yeah, that's a great shot. Yeah.
so basically like there's a guy about my size who's going to be like belaying, like holding the line, and my dad goes, if I fall, are you supposed to catch me? You know, so then my dad gives the guy $100 and he goes, my dad goes, he goes, you guys go ahead. I'm going back to the car. And he goes to the guy, if you bring him back looking the way that I look right now, I'll give you $100. So the guy brings me on this grueling climb, right? And like I come back looking like I had almost died, and my dad gives him $100. But I booked a hot air balloon. We go up in the hot air balloon, and we're up in the hot air balloon with like 4 or 5 other people, and the guy who's like driving it, whatever, he's testing the wind, so he knows what direction we're going to be blowing in. But then it's too windy, so he's like, "Oh, we're missing the Alpha Zone landing spot." So then, like the truck has to go to the next one.
Yes.
We're gonna miss the Beta Zone. We missed like 5 landing spots. Finally, he goes, "We're gonna have to take her down." So then we're coming down, and there's this big field with like tall grass, right? And he goes, "Okay, everyone, duck down." Like a crash landing. So now we're all crouching down in the basket, right? The hot air balloon comes down. It crashes into the ground. It falls over on its side, and it's now dragging through the field. And there's all these crickets that are pouring into the basket. And finally, the thing stops. We have to crawl out on our hands and knees, you know. And then it was just like a crash landing hot air balloon experience.
You know what I realized? After this podcast, no one is going to go in a hot air balloon again after both of your experiences.
They have no control.
Brookie landed in a tree. You had crickets all over you. I was thinking like I just say I had this great memory of the Muppets going up in it. And I was like, I do not want to go in a hot air balloon now. You know?
Oh my God. Yeah. First of all, Rob, that's disgusting. Like, did you crawl out? Were you guys covered in crickets?
There was crickets everywhere. It was like, I remember crouching down. I'm seeing all these crickets around us. I'm like, what is happening right now? You know?
So gross.
Oh,
that's
man.
nasty.
But it was fun though. It was fun.
Yeah, hot air balloon was fun. I had a great time too.
When you mentioned crickets, I don't know why. I flashed forward to when we had the lizards, Rob. So you never.
Oh my God! Yeah.
So we had to always feed them crickets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boys, I gotta.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
All
Maddie,
right.
You wanna, this was a good one, Maddie.
This was a great one.
Actually,
an hour and 30 minutes, guys. I want to say this is probably like our longest.
Yeah, either a real treat for the audience or a real torture.
Maybe break it in 2.
Part 1 and part 2. Total nonsense. No, let's just have one. Okay, Maddie, take us out of here.
I'm sorry. There's a fire alarm going off. It's gonna give about 5 seconds. So if you hear this now, you guys hear it?
I hear nothing. I just hear you talking.
No. All right. Well, this is Brooklyn. All right. So anyway, this was just stop. This was a great episode of Playing Teacher. This is Mr. Rob Monahan, Matthew Cade, along with Brug, and this has been a great talk, guys. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.
Yeah. Okay. Well.